Now, for those of you that have been following our channel for a while, you would know that we had Palestinian activist Nurdin Kaswani on our channel just a few months ago. She was just here. What we talked about at length was about not just her activism, which is obviously incredible. We also talked about the extremist elements of Zionism, although most of Zionism is extreme. But make no mistake, when it comes to Batar USA, the Israel Defense League, these are extremist organizations. And when she was on our channel, we talked about the threats that they made against her. So what happened? She had to go out and file a lawsuit against them because they wouldn't leave her alone. Colin, I'm waiting for my story, baby. She had to take matters into her own hands. And she did. And what happened the other day? Somebody tried to assassinate her. Came pretty close. Close enough that the FBI had to step in. Man arrested over plot to firebomb New York pro-Palestinian activist home. A 26-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly planning to carry out a violent attack against a New York-based pro-Palestinian activist. Activist Nurdin Kaswani said in a statement on X that federal authorities had informed her on Thursday that a plot against my life was about to take place. Authorities said Alexander Heifler had been taken into custody in New Jersey and charged with an unlawful possession and making of destructive devices. Those destructive devices? 8 Molotov cocktails in his Hoboken, New Jersey home, according to the documents. The charging document did not specify a motive for the planned attack. Oh, I could think of several motivations as to why he would do such a thing. Heifler, who is a U.S. citizen, has been described by police as an extremist with no criminal record with the NYPD. CBS News, the BBC's U.S. partner, reported. Police believe he was working alone, yet not really, and not with an overseas terrorist group or foreign government. This NYPD investigation uncovered an alleged plot by Alexander Heifler to carry out a violent attack against Nurdin Kaswani. Yeah. Who said that? Oh, NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who we all know her favorite country, it's not the U.S., said in a statement, the alleged plot began earlier last month when authorities say Heifler took part in a February 10th video call with a self-defense group that included an undercover law enforcement officer. During the call, Heifler allegedly asked whether anyone in the group had a location where he could throw Molotovs. Yeah, talk about not being subtle. And later discussed plans to vandalize Kaswani's home, according to court records. After arranging an in-person meeting with the undercover agent, he allegedly said he obtained Kaswani's address and the pair conducted surveillance of the home on March 4th. Heifler allegedly said the Molotov cocktails were not hard to make, adding that he had made an escape plan to leave the country. Do you know what his escape plan was, ladies and gentlemen? His escape plan was to go to Israel. That's where he was going. You think for one second that he didn't have other people involved in this to see that he safely made it over there? So when they say that this is some lone nut person that tried to assassinate Nurdin, and Lord knows if he was trying to firebomb her house, he was going to try to take her and her family with her. And you think for one second that this is one half-cocked idiot that decided to try this? Of course not. This is some bullshit that is being done behind the scenes by a multitude of people. It goes up the food chain. Believe me, I know from experience, now more than ever. When they want something done, they'll get it done. because right now they still control the levers of power. And as long as they do, this problem will persist. He was carrying a large bottle of alcohol along with other materials used to assemble several Molotov cocktails, which he intended to throw at cars and directly at Kaswani's residence, the charging document said. Following the meeting, law enforcement agents executed a search warrant at Heifler's, take that out of there, please, at Heifler's residence, where they recovered 8 Molotov cocktails, court documents said. Now I can read it. Jessica Tisch has already secured Heifler's first-class plane ticket to Israel. Again, you say it as a joke, but it's probably not a joke. To suggest that this could just be swept under the rug and no one's going to know about it is an understatement. Kaswani, who was the co-founder of Within Our Lifetime, a pro-Palestinian New York City-based organization, was informed of the threat against her life after Heifler was arrested. An NYPD spokesperson told CBS News, New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani said Heifler was an alleged member of the Jewish Defense League, which has been designated by the FBI as a known violent extremist organization. He attempted to blow up the home of Nurdin Kaswani in a chilling act of political violence and an apparent assassination plot. Kaswani has been a vocal opponent of Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories and alleged that far-right groups had engaged in a sustained campaign of stalking, harassment, intimidation, and civil rights violations against her and other activists. Because, of course, this is what they do. And if they don't get their way, Meyer Kahane, well, they're all subject to being a bigger problem for many reasons. Credit where it's due to the FBI for thwarting this plot. You think that's the last one? This is just the beginning. Think of how many sleeper agents we have in this country. And I'm talking about sleeper agents for Israel. We have uncovered several stories here in Vegas and other places in terms of how these guys operate and what they do. What do? They basically surveil all of us. And the second things get too hot, they get a first-class plane ticket out of the country and to Israel. Now, how long that's going to last if Iran keeps doing what they're doing? I don't know. I really don't know. But this is an absolute testament to how effective Nurdin is. And I have seen people come after her because they don't like the fact that she doesn't pull any punches. And in liberal circles in particular, they don't like it when people are not willing to just accept a little bit of criminal behavior, a little bit of genocide, a little bit of Israel, and a little bit of mass murdering in Iran and in Gaza and in the United States so they can feel safe. I am sure that that is the case. Zoran has done the best job he can given the circumstances. He's the only elected official that I can think of that's in a position of power right now that's doing anything positive. That's not to say that he isn't without his flaws, because he's got plenty. But I think considering the city he's running and the people who truly are trying to ruin his life before he even warms the chair in City Hall, think about how you would handle this if you were in his position. And knowing now that this is probably the first of many assassination attempts throughout the city that he's going to have to deal with, and the different types of protection that people are going to have to be required to have, it's going to be off the charts insane. Because the more Israel continues to lose its grip on our State Department, on our country, because our elected officials are all a bunch of bought-off puppets. They don't stand for shit. They're going to need to figure out a way to sell their bullshit to this country, but they're doing a really lousy job of it. They pick up the most impossibly insufferable people to do it. When you have truth on your side, you don't need to mince words. You don't need to think. It's like telling the truth versus telling a lie. Once you lie, you have to back up that lie with a whole bunch of other lies, and then you forget what you were talking about. When you have truth on your side, you don't have to think. You just do. Nordine Kaswani is an amazing human. I was trying to get her on as a guest this evening, was not able to make it happen. Lord knows she's probably hunkered down for now, as she should be. She should be looking out, and it isn't even so much that she's looking out for herself. She has an infant that she has to worry about. That's her priority. She probably doesn't give a damn if she gets killed, but she sure as hell doesn't want to have an orphaned or motherless child. So she's thinking about everyone else but herself. And that's what we do. We think about everybody else but ourselves. I had to pay a major price for it. But that's acceptable, because it could always be worse. You could be dealing with hell on earth, as so many of us have seen for the past 2.5 years, for the past almost 80 years, and then some. Only now it's become extremely visible to everyone. And now you get to see what it's like firsthand. But the fact that the BBC, in conjunction with CBS News, so that should not surprise anybody, the fact that they're even suggesting, even intimating at the idea that this little scumbag, lousy piece of garbage, again, I'm choosing my words carefully. I'm really trying not to get our channel buried tonight. Heifler. Colin, you want to do me a solid and grab a picture of Mr. Heifler so everyone can have the stereotypical responses to exactly what this clown looks like? Because, of course, he looks exactly as you would expect him to look. Does anybody really think that he did this by himself? Does anybody think that he just decided on his own volition that he was going to do this? Not a chance. There is no way that he was going to do this on his own. So whoever he's connected with, that investigation needs to be brought to light. That's the concern. While the FBI may have thwarted the assassination attempt, are they really going to get to the bottom of what went on? Are they really going to get to the bottom of that? You tell me. Colin, can I have that photo, please? All right. Should have it in a second. But yes, guys, if you haven't smashed that like button, we have just passed the sign of the devil, 666. Smash that like button if you would. Let's get this out there to Laura Loomer's behind a lot more than you might think. So here's the ass clown. There's a few photos floating around. That's one of them.
Aw, look at that nice little Jewish boy with his Jewy fro.
He's just misunderstood, folks. Blow that up, Colin, please. Draw it.
They'll just say he's a sweet little boy who was misunderstood and he didn't really mean to do it. He's just a good boy who had a lapse in judgment. He got upset. She was saying a lot of negative things about Jews.
She doesn't.
But it sounded that way because Israel and Jews are the same thing. And he had to do something about it. You see, he's trying to save us.
I got an idea. I've got a great idea. Do you know what this little throwy man should do? This is the person that attempted to firebomb Nordine Kaswani. I got a great idea. Why don't you join the military? If you're so concerned about Israel, why don't you actually get on the front lines and fight and see what happens? Oh, that doesn't sound like a good idea. Why? Because the people you're fighting might actually fight back? Oh, and what is this? You only go after women? Because you know that if you even looked at a guy the wrong way, he'd knock your teeth out of your mouth? They make it very easy, guys. They really do. If you haven't smashed that like button, please do. We're climbing the ladder. We passed 700 for a second. Let's keep it going. This is as stereotypical as it gets. It is. But it's only a stereotype because it's true. And that's him. And the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, you know what the problem is with a guy who doesn't look intimidating or doesn't look like he would do anything to anybody physically, emotionally, etc. The real problem here is that guys like him are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're all over this country. You don't know if you're talking to one, but at any moment, that light shines through, which is why I believe in living in a world where we just put the cards on the table. I put my cards on the table regarding where I stood, and I've lost friends and family as a result. But that's okay, because I want to live in a world where I can lay my head down at night and know I did the right thing. I won't live in denial. A lot of people will. Now, this guy's not living in denial. What he's living in is a world where he really believes what he's doing is the right thing. And that is why Zionism has to die, and why we must remove it from our country, lance it off like a boil, as Jen likes to say. There is no other way. There is no getting along with Zionists, because the more that they head down in this direction, the more volatile they're going to get. And part of the reason that they're going to keep getting volatile, as we have seen, they believe that they have a license to kill. That even if they commit murder, they'll get out of it. That's why it was discovered that this guy already had a plan to get to Israel as soon as the job was done. Luckily, it was stopped. Do I think they're going to dig in further than this guy? No, he's a fall guy, and he's probably going to go down. But as far as whether or not there will be additional details in terms of who might have been supporting him, who was preparing to usher him out of the country without getting stopped, well, that's not going to come to the surface. You see, that's where the FBI stops.